The greatest tragedy isn't making a mistake once, it's living the same pain over and over, believing that next time will somehow be different. If you keep repeating the same mistakes, the problem may not be your choices. It may be the invisible patterns controlling your mind. Have you ever promised yourself, "This time I'll be different," only to find yourself standing in the exact same place months later? The same toxic relationship, the same financial struggle, the same lack of discipline, the same regret whispering in your ears every single night. At first it feels like bad luck. Then it feels like coincidence. But after a while, a terrifying question begins to haunt you. What if your life isn't being controlled by fate, but by a subconscious script you never chose? Imagine walking through a forest. Every day you take the same path. After years, that path becomes so deep that even when you try to walk somewhere new, your feet instinctively return to the old trail. Your mind works exactly the same way. The ancient philosopher Carl Jung once warned, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Most people never realize they're not repeating mistakes because they're weak. They're repeating them because the mind always chooses what is familiar over what is healthy. Today we're going to expose the hidden psychological loops that quietly shape your decisions, sabotage your dreams, and trap millions of people in lives they never intended to live. Because once you see the pattern, you can finally break it forever. Chapter 1. The prison you cannot see. What if the biggest enemy in your life isn't outside you, but a version of yourself that was created years ago? Most people believe they make decisions consciously. They imagine every choice is carefully weighed, every action intentionally selected. But psychology tells a different story. Nearly every day, your brain runs on automatic patterns, habits, emotional memories, and beliefs that operate silently beneath your awareness. You think you're choosing, but often you're simply repeating. Think back to childhood. Maybe you were praised only when you succeeded. Maybe you were ignored unless you made a mistake. Maybe love felt conditional. Without realizing it, your young mind absorbed these experiences like wet cement. Those moments hardened into beliefs. I'm not good enough. I always fail. People eventually leave. These weren't facts, they were survival strategies. Yet years later, they still influence your choices. Imagine a man who repeatedly enters relationships with people who hurt him. Friends tell him to leave. His heart tells him to stay. Why? Because chaos feels strangely familiar. His subconscious mistakes familiarity for safety. Even pain can become comfortable when it resembles the emotional environment we grew up in. This is why we often recreate the very situations we promised we'd escape. The ancient philosopher Carl Jung wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Those words are more relevant today than ever. Many people blame destiny, luck, or other people for their suffering, while the true architect lives quietly inside their own unconscious mind. Picture your subconscious as the autopilot of an airplane. Once programmed, it follows the same route over and over. You may grip the controls with all your strength, but unless you change the destination programmed into the system, you'll keep landing in the same place. That's why motivation alone rarely changes a life. Motivation is temporary, patterns are persistent. The uncomfortable truth is this: your biggest obstacle may not be your circumstances. It may be the invisible story you've been telling yourself for years without even realizing it. And here's the beautiful part. The moment you recognize the pattern, you stop being its prisoner. Awareness doesn't instantly solve everything, but it opens the prison door. For the first time, you have a choice. The question is, will you walk through it, or will you return to the comfort of the cage you've always known? Chapter 2. Your brain loves the familiar even when it hurts. Have you ever wondered why you keep returning to the very thing that broke you? The answer isn't a lack of willpower. It is the ancient wiring of your brain. Imagine touching a hot stove as a child. Your brain remembers the pain, and from that day forward, it protects you from making the same mistake. This survival system has kept humanity alive for thousands of years. But here's the paradox. The same brain that protects you from physical danger can also trap you in emotional danger. The mind is not designed to make you happy. It is designed to make you survive. And to the subconscious, what is familiar feels safer than what is unknown. Even if that familiar pattern is failure, rejection, procrastination, or heartbreak, your brain whispers, "At least we know how this ends." This is why someone who constantly procrastinates often delays the very opportunities that could transform their life. Success is uncertain, growth is uncomfortable, but postponing, making excuses, and staying within familiar routines feel predictable. The brain chooses certainty over possibility. The philosopher Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Every repeated thought strengthens a mental pathway. Every repeated action deepens it. Like water carving a canyon through stone, your habits slowly shape your identity. One mistake becomes a habit. A habit becomes a personality. Eventually, you begin to say, "This is just who I am." But that is one of the greatest illusions the mind creates. You are not your habits. You are not your failures. You are not the story your past keeps replaying. Think of an old record player. If the needle falls into the same groove every day, it produces the same song. Your subconscious works in much the same way. The grooves are your beliefs, your fears, your emotional memories. Unless you lift the needle and place it on a new track, your life keeps playing the same melody, different faces, different places, but the same ending. This is why people change cities, yet repeat the same relationships. They change jobs, yet face the same conflicts. They make New Year's resolutions every year, only to abandon them weeks later. The scenery changes, but the inner script remains untouched. Carl Jung understood this deeply. He believed that what we refuse to confront within ourselves returns again and again, wearing different masks. The lesson keeps arriving until we are willing to learn it. Life doesn't punish us by repeating the same mistake. It teaches us through repetition, hoping that one day we'll finally pay attention. The turning point comes when you stop asking, "Why does this always happen to me?" and start asking, "What part of me keeps choosing this?" That single question shifts you from being a victim of your past to becoming the author of your future. And once you begin rewriting the script inside your mind, something extraordinary happens. The same life that once felt like a prison slowly begins to feel like a path toward freedom.